Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series premiere of Cloak and Dagger. A great premiere. I'm just going to be talking about both episodes, kind of a jumble all together, so I won't be talking about anything in any particular order, but it's just kind of running through some things. It's very nice kind of already getting an introduction. Obviously, I've talked about this before and other things, but if this is your first time hearing me talk about it in general, I don't really know that much about Cloak and Dagger. My only experience with them is Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon, so it was kind of nice kind of getting a little more background on them, obviously learning about Tandy and Ty, learning their circumstances, how they actually first met, and just what their lives have become. It's other interesting things because we find, like, Tandy's life in particular, like the whole Roxxon corporation that her dad worked for. Basically, her dad is blamed for the rig that blew up. He was distracted on the phone at the time during a car accident. At the same time, Ty and his brother got caught up in a situation. Ty stole a radio. Him and his brother ran because his brother's already been in trouble in the past, and this would have been even more trouble. And it led to a cop shooting him. It was an accident, but then we later on find out later on it's a huge cover-up. The cop in charge, like I guess the captain, lieutenant, whatever the case may be, lies and says, oh, we never had a cop that fits that description. It turns out, because we do hear later on from the guy, it's like, it turns out it's his uncle. That might have been his uncle because he's like, oh, my uncle couldn't fix this. So that was most likely what happened there. Potentially that, or he's just talking about his uncle as in someone who's powerful, not necessarily that dude in particular was his uncle. But it seems like he most likely after that got transferred to a different group because it seems like he was working with VIDS now. But it's just like this fated night where everything went wrong and they ended up finding each other. It's still unclear exactly what went wrong, what gave them their abilities, because it seemed like there was kind of like this like shockwave pulse that went through the water. So I'm guessing that's maybe something inside of them was already there, or whatever the case may be. Because when he reaches out to her, because he sees the bright light, I was guessing it was from the car, but I think it was more so from Tandy, and she sees a darkness kind of encompassing the entire car. So. And just seeing what that's turned their lives into. Tandy having the issues she does with her mom. Her mom's just kind of like taking pills. Because it's something that was already kind of set up. Her mom was already taking pills a lot because of back pain. But I guess after losing her husband, the whole Roxxon situation, like, basically, it seems like they live kind of a pretty high life, because it comes up later on because Liam was like, oh yeah, you know about this world because, you know, the high class parties and stuff like that, because that was kind of her world for a little while. But then I think her life kind of got turned, well, definitely life got turned completely upside down. Her mom kind of fell apart. Her mom was kind of already probably borderline on the edge, but then she just kind of got pushed over even more because of the Roxxon situation, as well as just losing her husband Nathan. So, and then for Ty, it's like his parents can seem overbearing, because for him it's like he feels like, I think personally himself, he feels like he has to make up for the fact it's because he blames himself, because it's like it's because of him that his brother was in that situation in the first place. And the fact of the matter is he never really got justice. I mean, because even the cop tries to spin it like, oh, like almost making it seem like, oh, you're just some kid, you're confused, you don't know what went down. They even try to talk about the fact is that there were drugs in his system. They're lying their asses off. I was like, the moment those lies, I was like, you pieces of crap. I was wondering how that whole situation was going to turn out, and sadly, it turned out that way. And even his parents don't even really know the truth. But for his parents, they're like so overbearing and overprotective because they're scared of that. Like, his mom said it best, and I thought was kind of like a beautiful line of like, no matter, he's like, yeah, you guys expect me to do everything perfectly and then I'll be all right. She's like, even if you do everything perfectly, I'm still scared that you won't be okay. You know, and that's such a sad thing, you know? What's interesting about their abilities, obviously we're still in the early stages, so they still don't quite know, but it seems like it didn't really reactivate. I guess they have to be in close proximity of each other for their powers to fully kick in at first, because it doesn't seem like any of their powers of the years between the accident that they met, like the beach, we'll just kind of refer to it as, like them meeting on the beach, like that whole situation, that. And all these years later, it seems like they never had any other instances. But the moment they met again, it just made everything. I did like the fact that they met under very unconventional circumstances, where they were both at a party and she ended up stealing his wallet. So interesting circumstances. But obviously these episodes are more so kind of setting up. It seems like there's a lot of setup to each story, trying to give you background to who they are and what they are dealing with in their own lives. Because Tandy herself is just kind of like, her mom is in the condition she's in, moving from one job to another. She's even making up excuses, telling her mom, is like, no, I'm staying over at Liam's. But the fact of the matter is, your mom's like, oh, you haven't been here in 2 or 3 weeks. And she's just kind of like, oh, you're at Liam's. Okay. It's like, no, like, you should know where she's been. And her mom, just her mom's not in the right state of mind. Like I said, she's just fallen off, and it seems like as time's going on, she's just falling more and deeper. And it's like, she kind of let it slip, the whole mom situation, because it does seem like she's trying to still do the whole Roxanne situation. Like, probably a lot of who they were, probably like a lot of their family life and stuff like that, probably got their name in particular, probably got flushed down the toilet. So it seems like she's trying to sue them for, like, I guess some like slander or blasphemy, not blasphemy, libel for ruining her husband's good name or something like that. So it seems like she moves on from dude to dude. But the most messed up thing is, when she needed the money the most, her mom ended up taking the pills and stuff, which that's kind of a sad thing to see, that Tandy's like crushing pills and sniffing them. Doesn't live at home. She lives in a church just so she doesn't have to go home, because it's just kind of like, what's there to go home to? It's just kind of like, she expressly goes out of her way to make sure she's not home. She goes home when her mom's not there and everything. Then you had that whole messed up situation where Ty was getting beat up because of because he missed some stuff, like because he missed practice, because he got in that fight with that dude. But it's like, I didn't see anyone doing anything. Like, it's not 100% his fault. Like, does that dude suffer no ramifications? He was doing stuff, and even he was like, aren't you going to call this ref? But it's something that seems like that's going to feed into his character as the season progresses. It's like, he kind of has anger issues, as the father priest, I don't know what its proper title is. The dude that kind of gives him guidance in this episode, that dude was kind of like, refers to it more so as a poison that's kind of infected his veins, essentially, kind of, rather than just referring to it as anger, it's this poison. But for him, it's like, shouldn't I give this poison to the same person who made me like this? And that was the cop who killed his brother. Obviously, that seems to be like his biggest, like, his overarching story. I mean, what it seems like it's going to be this season, of just how he has all this rage, and it's like an eye for an eye. Like, shouldn't I give some of this poison to the very person who gave all this to me? It's like, oh, what would God say? But it's like, what if God's the one who gave me the mission in the first place? He told me to do this, so. Then you have Tandy dealing with the whole fact is, like, because it seems like she's kind of a bit of a criminal. Once again, it's just that situation of what her life is that kind of made her kind of spiral too, because she steals from people. She apparently gets rich kids, like, she drugs them and then robs them. One of the said dudes catches up with her, and she defended herself. Doesn't seem like he's dead. It just seemed like it wasn't like he was. I think Liam had said he was like in the ICU or something like that. So, which even Tandy was like, well, what do I do? Which do I vote for? Either he lives, but he's able to identify me, or he's dead, and that means I killed someone. So which one should I go for? So things are not easy for either one, but because the sad thing is, and I think it's the point that this premiere tried to get across the best, is, and I think it did a great job, is because they both feel alone in their own regards, just because it's like, this is happening to them, but at the same time, they're already living a life where they don't really connect with a lot of people. Tandy doesn't really have many people she can rely on. She has Liam, but because it's so good and everything else in her life is crap, I guess in her own way, she pushes him away because she doesn't want him to kind of get caught up in everything that is her, because she probably feels like, maybe on some level she feels like she doesn't deserve that good. And then, Ty's case is just, like I said, all this anger he's dealing with, that it's just kind of, like I said, he's supposed to be this perfect person. He's supposed to fit this role, because it just, he can't, not wanting to cause his parents any problems, but it almost feels like the world's kind of suffocating him a little bit. I guess it's kind of how I'm trying to phrase it. So it's just interesting that if you look at it, I guess you can make the argument life is kind of suffocating them both, just in very different ways. And it's just causing them to do this and do this, causing a lot of their actions. So what's interesting about their abilities, beyond just what they're able to do, her being able to create those daggers of light or knives, and him cloaking in shadow and being able to teleport, is the fact is that it seems like they almost have like this empath ability, because each time they touch people, she touched her mom, then she ended up touching Liam, and it made her see things. He ended up touching And so it does seem like, at first I was like, it seems like it's not really a mind reading ability. It seems like it's more of a empath ability. I guess it's almost like feeling an emotion. It's like they can see into people's hearts. Because I'm cute, like, I guess in that cop's case, like his biggest regret was that situation. Like, I mean, obviously he's just a dirty cop. I mean, was he always a dirty cop, or did he just like, because he started that one thing, it just led him down the path of being a dirty cop, or not? Because it seems like he's like getting rid of drugs at at one point in the episode. So it's kind of like, I don't, so it's hard to say which came first. In that chicken and egg situation, was he a dirty cop to begin with, or what? But the thing is, I'm wondering, is like, was it because that was something that was right there on top of his mind? Or is it, like I said, is it something that just buried deep down inside? Like, because their powers are really, like, very premature at this point in time, they can't really, like, fully access what they need to. So they hit what's either bubbling to the surface or the strongest emotion. So in the cop's case, maybe regret was his biggest, strongest emotion. In Liam's case, it was love for Tandy. Her mom maybe regrets about everything being what it is. The fact of the matter is, missing her husband, wishing she could go back to those moments where everything was kind of good and perfect, Which is it's just kind of interesting. That's how I'm treating it, more of an empath ability, not necessarily like mind reading. I mean, I guess it borderlines, but I guess empath is kind of similar to that. Kind of, like I said, just reading more so the emotions. Maybe the strongest ones are the ones that can tap into, but maybe it seems like it's a combination of memories and emotions, maybe memories tied to emotions, because the moment he tapped into it, he saw what the dude was talking about, like, oh, I'm gonna go see my uncle. He even saw his mom. Like, his mom's situation wasn't him just reading her mind necessarily. Like, it wasn't even a memory. It was more so like just the feeling of her dread. And, it's like, oh, she lost one son, gonna lose her other, because obviously in her mind, it's like, those are still her baby boys. And so that's how she still sees them, as these children, these little boys that she has to protect, It's like, it's her job. And to the point, she's even running herself ragged, trying to make up for it all. I felt in Tandy's situation, when her and Liam are at that wedding or whatever, and she got close to the lady, and she's like, oh yeah, talking to her and everything. I was like, I actually kind of felt bad about the fact that Tandy stole the money from her, because it's almost like, oh man, they had this sweet moment, but that was quickly thrashed. So... Also, I think I mentioned it earlier, but I think I kind of shifted gears. But I might not have mentioned it. I actually don't remember now. It's Ty's teammates beating him up. I was like, that's some bullshit. Like, just because of what... Yeah, I think I brought it up earlier, but diving deeper into that, it's like, that's some horse shit. I was actually kind of halfway expecting him to use his powers to get out, like, after they locked him up. I thought that was kind of a neat moment. Of the moment he tried to use his powers, I was like, that's not going to work, is it? And then he uncovers, still there, and they beat on him. I can only assume those are socks with, like, bars of soap in them or something like that. It's just because in their mind, it's like, oh, all the stuff that you've done, all the problems you caused. It's like, rather than being good teammates and trying to be like, oh, hey, man, what's going on? They're so caught up in their own worlds. It's like, you're not going to mess this up for us, Because I was halfway expecting him to use his powers to get out after, like I said, with the gate and the gate and everything shut with the lock on it. But it's like, no, he broke that open pretty easily when he raged out and like broke it with a bat. I was like, wow, I feel like that shit. I mean, I don't know. Those are probably school locks, so they might not be as strong as just everyday locks. But still, I think that's pretty impressive, breaking that with a bat, and it shows how hard he was swinging those. What's also interesting is the cop in this episode. What I find fascinating is, like, she doesn't have any lines until the end of the episode. I'm wondering why that is, because she doesn't actually talk until the end of the episode. I mean, what was why did they do that specifically? And also, I need to look into it. That actress seems so familiar, but I can't place her. It bugged me the entire episode. Like I said, it's just kind of interesting. Like, neither one of these kids have a good life. Their lives kind of like that's just kind of like tragedy just beget like terrible, their lives just spiraling into what they are. It seems like Ty might have a good life, but I feel like that's just kind of like the surface, because there's so much bubbling underneath it. It seems like Tandy's is kind of like upside down both on the inside and outside, but it seems like Ty, I mean, it seems like his inside, just everything has just kind of been bubbling beneath the surface, the problems, but it feels like it's kind of now leaking over into his life too. So And I guess the argument could be made that it was kind of only a matter of time with everything kind of being what it is, I wasn't expecting two things. One, well, I take that back. I was kind of halfway expecting Tandy to push him away, like even after what she. I was almost halfway expecting her to really tell him the truth. I thought like he's like, oh, I'm here for you, and she knows exactly how he feels. But I think that scared her even more. So she's like, there's no we. She just leaves because I think it's easier that way because getting close to people just. I'm thinking in the end, she's probably scared she's just going to hurt them. I guess maybe on some level, she's afraid, like, she's just kind of a copy of, like her mom, like I said, kind of has her rough patch, and maybe Tandy's worried about that's her. She, like I said, she doesn't want to bring other people into her drama. But the messed up part about him getting arrested at the end, and he has no money to help himself out because he gave every bit of his own money to back up Tandy. So, and it's like he's kind of left holding the bag, and it seemed like she wasn't going to come back. So it's one of those things of like, you kind of see that side, but on the other side, you're almost like, oh, is she almost a little heartless? Maybe because she feels like all she's going to do is cause more trouble and problems if she goes back. But is it like concern for him, or is it more concern for herself? Then you take like a Ty's story, because for him it's like, because he realizes the poison that's in him is also in his mom, so it motivates him even more, because his mom tries to take all the stuff, like all the anxiety, all the things that she's dealing with, and kind of put them away, and what she can't put away she tries to spin it into something positive. And I think even though it's for bad reasons, obviously it's revenge. I think on some level, obviously it's not just for him. He wants to free his mom for this burden, so he takes her gun and tries to go after the cop. It doesn't work because he was so filled with anger at the time. I think his powers kicked in, and before he could fire the bullet, well, as he was firing the bullet, which I guess it seems like his ability has like this certain range, because it happened one time when the cop was shooting at him and he jumped and used his power, like he fell into some like bags or cloth or whatever, and when he popped back in like to his room, the bullet was behind him. So within a certain radius of things that kind of can get tracked in with him, not just people. So I thought that was kind of like an interesting little detail, and you saw it because as soon as you could actually hear him firing the gun, but the moment he teleports, like the bullet didn't fire and hit him, it just moment he appears, it followed with him. So it's almost like, because his power, to my understanding, is almost like a dimension. It's kind of like he opens a dimension and it kind of pops in somewhere else. Because it's not just like a teleport. Because like I said, that bullet was in the middle of being fired when he left. So it's more like a dimensional pop rather than a teleport, at least my understanding of it. So it didn't and I guess they're constantly drawn to each other because he ends up going to her, like, because they're kind of each other's, I guess, safety net in a sense, because we saw it even at the beginning. The moment she was wearing it, I was like, is that what I think it is? And it turns out it is the case. The hoodie that she has is the one Ty was wearing that night. It's actually his brother's hoodie. Like, she wears it because I guess it makes her feel safe. And it's a black hoodie too, so obviously the symbolism there in the sense of like she was cloaked in darkness and that's what saved her. And then you have him having her ballet shoe, because that was all that was left, which is white. Which, it's just kind of interesting because it represents both of their powers and stuff like that. Like I said, because I treat Cloak and Dagger's situation as kind of a yin and yang, which is kind of interesting. Like, obviously, she represents kind of the light, he represents the darkness, but obviously, when it comes to yin and yang, there's the situation of the fact is that even in light, there's always a little darkness, and even in darkness, there's a little bit of light. So I think that's going to be something we're going to see as the season progresses. I'm very interested to see what goes down, especially on certain regards, because there's that whole... I guess that was all set up just to show that his mom had a gun. Was the fact is that she was like, oh yeah, some pest is messing around in her trash or whatever, and she comes out with a gun. I thought that was going to be something else, but turns out not to be. I guess it was just kind of looking like, oh, she has a gun. So, in all honesty, I completely missed it. I actually don't know what it is exactly his mom does. It's like put people in office, so I guess she kind of works as like some position in like government in New Orleans or something like that. Maybe like it seems like she's like a press secretary to like the mayor or something is kind of what I'm kind of assuming. It seems like she's kind of got like a position like that from what I can tell. Hence the words she used, like, oh, putting so many people in office and stuff like that. But what's interesting is both of them are kind of like in terrible situations, because it's like, well, the cop has seen Ty's face multiple times. The dude saw Tandy. Plus, the cop knows what Tandy looks like, so she was actually going after Tandy, but went after Liam instead because I guess she feels like she can use Liam to get to Tandy. I'm curious, like, what it was exactly, because I know, like, she showed a picture to someone looking for Tandy, so maybe she heard about Liam, and maybe that's how that ended up transpiring, how she ended up getting to him, because I was pretty sure she was waiting on trying to get him, because wasn't she waiting outside of church? And this is an interesting thing, like, I thought that's kind of a pretty neat thing. It's kind of out of the show, but technically in the show, it's like during the commercials, they show this like side by side of things like throughout the episode, showing mirror images of things like Tandy. I was about to literally call her Olivia. That's the actress's name. I was about to do, but Tandy and Ty doing similar things, like kind of almost like mirror reflections of each other, till you get to points where they come together and then the screen came together rather than being split screen. I thought that was kind of beautifulully done. Even kind of, it's like, oh wow, that's kind of interesting, because even like, you know, her being in a church looking at the stained glass, him being in school, which is, it seems like it's religious school, looking at the stained glass too. So I thought that was kind of a nice little touch. Like I said, it was kind of outside of the episode, but it just adds more to that whole yin and yang situation, them being like two halves of the same coin. The question then becomes like, what gave them their abilities? Like I said, is it that Roxanne situation? Because we do find out like another thing they're trying to hold against Nathan, you know, her dad, Tandy's dad, was the fact is that he was also doing experiments of its own. What exactly? I don't know. Maybe it's related to Tandy and Ty. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's related to that rig that exploded and just whatever happened. Like I said, what necessarily from the very beginning gave them their ability? Was it something that was already in them that was awakened? Did they have something special in it? Or did it just happen to be in the right place at the right time? It's a very interesting thing. I mean, so far I'm very much enjoying the series. Like it's only like the premiere, but I'm very interested to kind of continue forward and see like what ends up happening with all of this, trying to balance both their lives and these crazy situations they find themselves in, especially at the end with him popping up in the middle of the road, accidentally shooting her summoning up 2 daggers. So I'm very interested to see kind of how the story progresses through the course of the series, over the course of the season. So I'm very interested to see what goes on in the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good